We welcome you to another edition of Snap the Pigskin. Hello, everybody. Happy March. We're getting close to April. The draft is getting closer. We are a month away from the NFL draft being in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and Kedrick is a hop, step, a skip, and a step away from that. But we've got some good. We got at least.
Who are you?
I'm like a little bit more than a hop skip. You're in Appleton though, because your parents live in Appleton.
Yeah, my parents. I don't live there.
Oh, but that's right, because you live in Milwaukee. Yeah, you're right. It is a hop, skip, and a step away for both of us. Today's show, this is kind of the dog days of the NFL right now. And also, too, today, it's me catching up Kedrick on all that has gone on in NFL news. And because you were a very busy man these last 5 days or so. Went from Denver to Minnesota, got to catch the women's hockey national championship and March Madness too. Like, whoo.
Yeah. Yes. From Wednesday to Sunday, 7 NCAA tournament games, an NCAA title game.
Is that this year's banner behind you?
Yes, that perfectly crafted 5 there on the end.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Yeah, got to see. Was in Denver for the Denver sub-regional on Thursday. Got there on Wednesday for the pre-game like press availability with Wisconsin, Montana, BYU, VCU, A&M, Yale, Michigan, and who did Michigan play in the first round? I don't remember. UCSD. Listened to Dusty May's voice a lot over the last few days. So that was a lot, and heard Victor's one too many times. One too many, because man, if San Diego State hits that shot at the end of that game in the first round, unfortunately, we got all chalk out of the Denver sub-regional, as most sub-regionals got this year in the tournament, which too bad. Yeah, flew from there to Minneapolis for the Frozen Four and got to see Wisconsin take the all-time series lead over Minnesota for the first time in program history.
Let's go, baby.
Unbelievable that in my lifetime, I have both seen the football team. I have seen the hockey team take the all-time series lead for the first time in program history. And I've gotten to see the football team both take and lose the all-time lead in the series history. Yeah.
Life is sweet.
Yes. One of the most dramatic finishes to a hockey game I've ever seen.
Oh my God, yes.
On Sunday. And certainly the most dramatic I've seen in person. No, I want to ask this before we get into the unfortunate part of the show, which is talking about the National Football League.
Yes.
18.9 versus 17 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is the most dramatic finish there? Because I was thinking about this earlier, where I have 2 of these, like, unbelievable,
like 2 scenarios in your head.
Yeah, okay. Unbelievable finishes of hockey games in my lifetime between like programs that I am relatively connected to in Chicago Blackhawks fandom and covering the Wisconsin Badgers.
Yes.
17 seconds, you tie the game in Game 6 in Boston, and then score 17 seconds later, right? Mm-hmm. to win the cup, or 18.9 seconds, all of a sudden the wire-to-wire number 1 team in the country gets a penalty shot. Kirsten Sims takes it.
Who wants it? Who wants it?
Ties it, takes it to overtime. Same player scores the game winner. What is the more dramatic finish there, in your opinion?
That's you really hit me with a tough one. That was a good question. Because was that Game 6 with Boston and Chicago?
Right. So
that would have forced a Game 7.
Right. So that's the thing. That's what has me leaning Sunday's game.
Yeah.
Because that's an elimination game for both teams. 17 seconds just forces. I mean, how do you do? Low stakes. Just forces Game 7.
Just forces a game. Just forces a Game 7 at Stanley Cup Final. No pressure.
But also between like the two best teams in the NHL over the last like 3 seasons.
Yeah.
There with each of them very recently winning a cup.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, yeah, I think where you're leaning there is because it only otherwise forces Game 7.
What also is kind of what kind of comes into this too is a little bit more of a backstory is you have the President's Trophy winning Hawks that year in the Stanley Cup Final, and you have this year with this Badger women's hockey team, maybe one of the greatest Badger women's hockey teams we've ever seen. Like
maybe one of the greatest college women's hockey teams we've ever seen.
Even better. You
have to put it up there. The only 2 teams that have won more games in a single season are the 2013 national champion Minnesota Golden Gophers, headlined by Madison native Amanda Kessel, which went 41-0 and won the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a Northeastern team that ended its regular season 38-0, but lost in the Frozen Four to Minnesota a handful of years ago. Those are the only 2 teams ever to win more games in a single season than this Wisconsin Badgers team did, because ultimately that Northeastern team had to win like one more game, had to get, like win 39 or whatever to get ahead of this one. But I thought Anthony Winker made a good point on the website formerly known as Twitter that with the level of talent that has increased across the sport, you could stack up this Badgers team against that 41-0 Minnesota team and make an argument.
Mm-hmm. I mean, because you look at the talent that they have. I mean, you have Caroline Harvey, Casey O'Brien, Kirsten Sims. You have Ava McNaughton in net. You have on the defensive side too. You've got Layla Edwards. I mean, like you have so many players you could go down the list of for Wisconsin that are probably going to be superstars in the PWHL. And like, I think they would like dog walk that Minnesota 41-0 team. I feel like
you are spicy, man.
I hate the Gophers just as much as any other Wisconsin person hates the Gophers. So
that team has a ridiculous amount of talent on it right now. This Badgers team does.
Yes.
They like and just over when they go to Worlds next month. I was talking to Keika Harvey yesterday, and they leave. I think she said they leave April 1st. So
for World Juniors?
Yeah. No.
Or no, for the
Women's Worlds in Czechia.
Oh, yes.
I think she said they leave on April 1st. So very, very quick turnaround. There are 6 players on, or is it 5? There are 5 current players on this Badgers roster that are on Team USA. 5. Not to mention all the other former Badgers.
You got like a plethora of them.
Current Badgers, it's Lacey Eaton, Layla Edwards, KK Harvey, Ava McNaughton, Kirsten Sims, and then you also have like Hillary Knight is on this team. Anna Wilgren is on that team. It's just a ton of former Badgers.
Is Abby Rock on that team?
I don't think she made the roster this go around. No, okay. It doesn't look like it.
Interesting. But to answer your original question,
what's more dramatic? 17 seconds.
I gotta go with 18. You got to go with the 18.9. I mean, because like watching that whole game from start to finish, like they looked so bad for 3 periods of that game, and it was amazing to me how they were able to tie that. And I even just said to myself too, I was like, when it came down to a shootout and they tied it, I was like, I told my brother this because he was watching the game with me. I told him, I said, if they lose this game, if Ohio State loses this game, like that'll go down as one of the bigger chokes in Ohio State women's hockey history, because they were 18 seconds away from winning a national championship, from winning back-to-back national championships, the first in the program's history. And they blew it off of a former Badger, Maddie Wheeler, which sends it to a shootout, which then leads to the game-winning goal in overtime. And when watching that game-winning goal too, Anthony Winker also put this out on the app formerly known as Twitter. He said he compared it almost like to the Alec Martinez goal when the Kings beat the Rangers.
Yeah.
And there was and he showed the video of it, and I was like,
Big juicy rebound, same side of the ice.
Same side of the ice, just right in the net.
That was like double overtime, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was double overtime.
But whatever. I don't know that specifics matter. But
still.
No, do you know the before Sunday? Do you know the last time Wisconsin successfully scored on a penalty shot was?
That was Kirsten Sims' freshman year against Ohio State. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Did you already see me writing about this or read this somewhere?
I saw the video that I don't think it was you or is it Anthony? I think Anthony or you posted it out.
one of us dug it up. Yeah.
Yeah, because Ohio State played.
He may have too. Yeah.
Because Ohio State played Wisconsin. Was it 2 years ago? And
that was a home regular season game.
It was a home regular season game at LeBon, and they won at LeBon off of Kirsten Sims winning on a penalty shot off of Amanda Thiele, who is the goalie in this national championship game.
In overtime.
In overtime. So a lot of like big storylines there, like just to culminating up to this.
Yeah. To put a bow on it, I do think I'm going to go with yesterday's game as the most dramatic. As a more dramatic finish than 17 seconds, just because it was an elimination game for both teams. And I do love the parallel that like Wisconsin was the best team in the country wire to wire that year. Chicago was the best team in the NHL wire to wire that year. But elimination game for both teams. And there's just also something you don't get a penalty shot all the time, right? Like there's extra dramatic,
or even more. You don't get a penalty shot in a like championship winner go home game. Like,
doesn't
happen rare.
But to get through the tournament, to get through all of it, to get through and win the WCHA final faceoff, and get to the very end, Wisconsin had to beat Duluth, the first NCAA title, winning dynasty in the sport, to get to the final face-off championship game. Had to beat Minnesota, the very next dynasty, to get to the to get
blew them out by the way.
Not in that game. Not in that game in the final face-off title game. But,
yes, yeah.
So en route from all the elimination games that they played, the last 6 games between the two trophies, you had to beat Duluth, the OG dynasty. You had to beat Minnesota, the next dynasty. In the regional final, you had to beat Clarkson, the only team out east to win a national title.
And one of the only teams to beat the Badgers in a national championship game, not in their own conference. Correct?
Not
Correct?
One of, just the only. Because that's the only team out east to do it. You had to beat Minnesota again in the Frozen Four national semifinal. In their
Dominated
own barn,
them.
In their own barn. Come from behind in Minnesota's barn again. Take the all-time series lead and beat them for the 10th time in a row. And then had to beat Ohio State, the new blood, as Nadine Muzerall's husband calls them, the sexy nightclub of women's hockey right now, versus rich tradition in Wisconsin. Over those 5 postseason winner go home games, they had to come from behind against every team that has won a national title in the history of the sport. As Mark Johnson said,
walleyes everywhere.
That too. So Layla Edwards gets stopped by the right leg of Amanda Thiele, and he in the moment said, "That may have been our one chance." And then the next 18 seconds happened.
And the rest is history.
That's 15 minutes of women's college hockey on this NFL podcast.
I will say though, I did tell Sam, you might have to get on Sam's butt about this, but I told Sam to watch the game and he had no interest in watching it whatsoever. And I told him, I was like, dude, like this would be good for your Puckworms podcast. Like Anthony is at this game watching it and Sam just did not care whatsoever.
That's sad. Like if there is any reason, and if you can tell,
and he has a hockey podcast.
Yeah,
too.
If you can tell, my voice has naturally gotten deeper because I'm going to make a serious point. that game, if nothing else, was a showcase for the sport. An absolute, like, not
For
just
women's hockey.
not just the dramatics of it, but the high level of play. And yeah, Wisconsin did not play their best game. Did not play their best game. If they did play their best game, they would have needed to score to tie the game. Yeah. 18.9 seconds on the clock. But that game was fast paced. That game was physical. That game.
Wire to wire, best teams in college hockey that year.
Yeah, it was a high level hockey game. And on top of the fact, incredibly entertaining. And people who are like, well, I don't like, watching women's hockey, the men's game, checking, blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, those two teams were knocking each other around.
Yes, it got physical. I mean, like the first, what was it? The first, 8 minutes in?
Yeah, well, 5 minutes in.
5 minutes
and
in.
Ohio State goes to the box before Joy Dunn scores.
She went full Connor McDavid and just scooted around, or Nathan McKinnon if you want. She went all around the defense and just scored.
She went from behind her own goal line to score shorthanded, and then beat one-on-one, skated past Casey O'Brien, Kirsten Sims, Layla Edwards, and KK Harvey.
And then
those are 4 first-team All-Americans.
And then what happens?
She beat them all on her own.
But then what happens 12 seconds later? Man.
Yeah, but no, I mean, just dramatic, like all the stakes you can imagine, incredible storylines, and just a high level hockey game. Like, I don't care if you haven't followed all the storylines. Like, for Sam Jamini, I'm putting you on blast. For you to actively choose to not watch that game is frankly inexcusable. Like, that is, if you profess yourself to be a hockey fan, watch that freaking game. If you profess yourself to solely be an NHL fan, fine. But then don't go watch the Four Nations Cup. Don't go watch the Olympics. If you're an NHL fan, be an NHL fan. If you're a hockey fan, watch women's hockey because it's freaking good.
You need to send him a text after this just to give him a reminder. I'm going to see him this week. I'm actually going to see him Friday. So, so after all that, we are 20 minutes into the show. We are almost 20 minutes in. We're 17 minutes into the show. We have not even got to the NFL aspect of it today.
Oh, wow.
But hey,
what a shame.
It's also there really isn't much.
Well, yeah, I don't know if there is much or not. As we are going to learn during the show, this is the Kedrick Learns What's Going On in the NFL show, because I have been engrossed in trying to cover college basketball, trying to cover college hockey, and man, I have no idea what's going on in the NFL right now, which is going to make this hopefully entertaining for you as I try to provide as over a top a reaction as I can.
All right, I'll try my best. Let's get into it. Drive of the week, first down. There are some rule changes that happened with the NFL. So
wait, that are adopted, or just have been proposed to the
have been proposed
fairness, whatever. Oh, okay, very different thing, Noah.
Sorry, I forgot to put the proposed in with the rule changes.
You said there are rule changes.
So let me rephrase that. There are proposed rule changes.
Oh, I thought we were starting off with a banger here on things I don't know.
Oh my goodness, no.
Getting rid of field goals. Here we go. Touchdown or die.
Proposal. So there's new proposal rule changes made by a few NFL teams. One is obviously the tush push. Our very own Green Bay Packers want to ban the tush push, which just is such an embarrassing look on me as a Packers fan, and I feel disgusted.
Also, why? You're running
exactly.
You're running the thing with Tucker Kraft.
Yeah, I was gonna say you run it with Tucker Kraft. So it's I don't know why you're having a fit about it, but then Brian Gutekunst came up and he said, "Well, we want to make it fair for everybody, and it's not fair to us." But I was also like, brother, you got handed badly in that
football
game.
Wants to be basketball so bad. They want to be basketball so bad. That's a football ass play, man.
Yeah, that's the definition of a football play. teams in like the
The game is
early
about blocking
1900s.
and tackling. Learn to tackle.
So the rule,
Lame.
so they made that the one of the rule proposals was from a club was the Green Bay rule. So it's by Green Bay amends Rule 12, Section 1 to prohibit an offensive player from pushing a teammate who is lined up directly behind the snapper and receives the snap immediately at the snap. They're trying to get rid of that.
Isn't this also a Sam Gemini high horse? Is that he's anti-tush push?
Yes, I think he is anti-tush push. Look,
I got beef with you, Sam Gemini.
Look, I'm not a fan of the tush push. Do I want it banned? Absolutely not. I think it's fun for the game. I think it's creative. I also think too, it's just funny that teams try to find ways to stop it and they fail they fail miserably to try and stop it. Like I think there was one, the Commanders, they had Jonathan Allen lined up sideways to try and stop the tush push. So there's that. But I don't think it's going to get banned. But there are some other rules out there as well. Detroit put in a few rules as well. Detroit wants to eliminate an automatic first down from defensive holding and illegal contact. That was one rule that they put in. Another
turn it to just a 5-yard penalty.
I guess. I mean, it doesn't really say. Another rule that they put in, proposed 2025 bylaws proposal summary. Detroit amends Article 20. This one is very interesting. So this is another one. You might have a thought on this as well. So Detroit was thinking of trying to change the current playoff seating format.
Okay.
And what it says right here in the bylaws that were proposed, this is on NFL's football operations website, by Detroit, amends Article 20, Section 20.2 of the Constitution and bylaws to amend the current playoff seating format to allow wildcard teams to be seated higher than division champions if the wildcard team has a better regular season record. So
yeah, it's just seeding teams 1 through 7 based on record rather than winning
based on division. Yeah.
Well, so one, and
then there's one more. There's one more.
Yeah.
There's one more rule change. There's one more rule proposal. Or there's two more rule proposals. Detroit put another one in. Detroit put a lot in. They had one where they want to exclude from the 90-player limit a player placed on injured reserve before the day of the roster reduction to 53 players, unless such player is designated for return. And then the last one, the Eagles want to change the overtime rules. And
okay, wait. Before we get to that, because that's going to be hot button. Can we hit on what
the seating? Yes.
Before? Yeah. So
yes.
One, the defensive holding thing. That seems bad to me. That seems really bad to me. Because all we're gonna have then is teams trying to recreate the Legion of Boom. Where because all that team did for Seattle with that secondary,
just jam them on the line.
Grab everybody, make the officials throw a flag over and over and over again. When you change the incentive structure to making that defensive holding call less punitive, you have increased the incentive to hold. And if you are then holding downfield, like not being punished with first down is bad. Like for first downs are really important. Like I know that's like sounds football brainy, right? But like just on the drive success chart, when you are plotting when a team ends up scoring a touchdown, right? Between first to second down, second to third down, your chance of success on a drive drops drastically. With every play, you do not get a first down. So taking away, so giving defenses free pass at holding while not necessarily awarding a first down is a huge boon to defenses.
Mm-hmm.
And while I do understand some folks' discomfort with the way rules have favored offenses in recent years, this feels like it's not the right counterweight to it. I don't necessarily want to see secondaries just going out and grabbing guys.
No, it's close enough to where it's like the Mel Blount rule. I mean, like even going back, like the whole reason the rule, like pass interference, was put in place was because of a Steelers player, Mel Blount, who would literally just murder the hell out of people on wide receivers as soon as they came off the line. So it's getting similar to that rule. And I agree. Like I like first downs are very valuable. Like it's especially a drive killer if you don't get one. And I do think that the Lions, they're kind of butthurt about this rule because I think they were one of the top teams in terms of penalties this past season. So like they're trying to find a way to make it so that it plays to their advantage. And I really hope the league doesn't approve of this one. I think it's really stupid.
Okay. The hot, sexy one of, I guess overtime is the real hot, sexy one. But
yes,
this was certainly a conversation this year in terms of hot, sexy rule change topics is playoff seeding, when you had these NFC North teams that could have been, 1, 2, and 4, right? In the NFL seeding structure, but we're 1, 5, and 7. I don't know. I like the idea of rewarding division champions, but this gets into a place where college football is in the same place right now. And I know NFL fandom, college football fandom doesn't perfectly, overlap, but also we spent 15 minutes talking women's hockey on this podcast. So college football is having the same conversation right now, where their playoff format of 12 teams includes automatic qualifiers for the highest ranked 4 conference champions out of the football playing conferences, the SEC, Big 10, ACC, Big 12, what have you. This year, one of those 4 came out of the Mountain West. Or one of those 5 came out of the Mountain West. And the 4 highest ranked conference champions get the 4 highest seeds in the tournament. The discussion now is just, yes, you do get automatic qualifiers for winning your conference, but you just seed the teams 1 to 12, which is the same thing here. I find the parallel interesting, where in many ways, college football is an incubator for what is to come in the NFL, but they both steal things from each other. I find it very interesting that this has kind of been a long-standing conversation in NFL circles.
Mm-hmm.
While college football did this NFL playoff rule format for 1 year and immediately was like, actually, this sucks. Let's change it.
Yeah, it did not go well. It did not go well.
I mean, it did. Like, just why do you say it didn't go well in college?
Well, because like, and this is just, man, I don't want to jump into the point of like the media made it seem like they hated it, but like from like a perspective, it's like, yeah, but like there's some teams that should have got in that didn't win their division. Like,
oh, you're talking about in the NFL?
In the NFL, well, I'm talking about in college football. Like,
okay.
But
I am confused. What does teams getting or not getting in have to do just with how the teams are seated?
Well, because like I keep putting this picture up for dang it. Because there's this picture right here of Tegan that she painted for me. But the seating, it's just like I'm fine with the way the NFL seating is. I'm talking about like college football. Like, people get butthurt about like, oh, this team shouldn't be in, this team should be in over this team. Well, and then the committee will go back and we'll look at it or like stuff like that. I have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with like the divisions or anything.
Wait, so is it because what the thing you are describing is two separate things?
Yes.
Access versus seating are not the same issue.
No.
So you were talking about complaints over who gets in. That's a different question here in the same way that the NFL has a different question here of who gets in versus how they are placed in the field.
Yeah.
When they make the field. Right? Like it's what the debate over whether or not Alabama gets in has nothing to do with how Boise State is seated.
Mm-hmm.
So which one do you say went poorly in college football this year?
That's just my point. I mean, like that's my point for.
What is your point? There's you cross wires making.
I'm confusing myself now. Let me frank. I'm kind of confusing myself.
You said something went poorly with the college football playoff this year. What went poorly with the college football playoff this year?
I can't remember. For the slightest of me, I can't remember.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Kedrick. I've like spaced out. I was like, huh?
Noah, do you think wild card teams and division champions should be seeded according to their records in the NFL?
Probably not. I think I think you stick with what you know. I mean, like you stick with the NFL. This is the one thing about the NFL too is they like to stick with what they know. Whenever they see a change that needs to be made, they will try and push for that change. But if there's not a big push for it, they won't make that change. That's just how the NFL is. Now with college football, the thing is too is like if there's a change, we're totally gonna make this move happen. Like we don't care what anybody thinks. This is our change. This is what we're gonna do, and you're gonna like it. Like,
yeah, NFL definitely slower to react.
Yeah, I think that this is gonna be more of a slower thing. I think it's gonna take a couple years before.
See, but it feels like we've been building to this ever since the Beastquake, right? Where Seattle gets in at 7-9, knocks off New Orleans. And we've had this with a couple of NFC South teams now, right? And I worry that there is, after looking at this year, I wonder with the divisional rotations, right? With the way the NFL creates its schedule, does having some teams, some divisions lined up to play one of the weaker ones every year, or in a particular year, just creates a world in which one division just so happens to have amassed a very large record compared to the rest of the field. And that feels like that is part of what happened this year as the NFC North was paired with the NFC South, or they were paired with the AFC South, which was bad. And what was there? Was it not the NFC East?
Was it the AFC West?
No. Because the NFC North teams played the AFC South.
Oh, you're talking about in the regular season. They played it was the NFC North going up against the NFC West and the AFC South.
Yeah. And the AFC South was tremendously bad.
Yeah.
And
the NFC West was also kind of
weird. But I think it's when like the Packers were undefeated against the AFC South this year, right? And did so with 2 Malik Willis games.
2.
I don't know, just because in a vacuum, I think I'm in favor of something like this. If the regular season scheduling format also changed, which I guess is to mean the opposite of in a vacuum.
Yeah. But then what would you change the format to?
I think what you have to do is change it to something akin to how the league schedules the 17th game, where they snake through the previous year's number 1 NFC versus number 1 AFC team, number 2 NFC, number 2 AFC, and snake down the line according to how they finished last year, and if that team exists on their schedule somewhere else in the divisional rotation already.
Yeah.
I think you would have to get rid of in-conference divisional rotations and even out the schedule more, where maybe you do something like a snake, where right now we have all the division winners playing all the division winners.
Yeah.
And instead of having teams go number 1 plays number 1, number 2, number 2, number 3, number 3, number 4, number 4, and then one goes back again to play like from the, well, I guess in this case it would be in the division. The best team plays the second best team from the previous year, right? The third best team plays the fourth best team. I think what you do is like the first team plays the second best team, and then the first team plays the worst team. And then like the first team plays the third best team, first team plays the second worst team.
Yeah.
Something like this, where if you can find a way to even out the schedule, and that's just me off the cuff, right? I understand.
Just to make like the competition easier.
Yeah, right. Where then you can even out the schedule between then that first team in the conference from the previous year versus the second team in the conference from the previous year. Because maybe it's, the first team plays the second best team, and then the second best team also gets to play the worst team. There's a way, I think, to even out those schedules, right, where their previous records are all around 500. And if you have that equal-ish scheduling in theory across the league, then I think this makes more sense as a way of seeding this. Otherwise, I think the ability of each team to win its own division, where the circumstances of winning that division are the same, essentially, compared to other teams in their division, but not necessarily the same level of difficulty as it is for each team to win the division within its own conference. I don't think that current scheduling structure leads to a good model to reward those wild card teams potentially with the second, third seed. I don't know. That's my long-winded, off-the-cuff idea of how to fix NFL scheduling to also allow for this to happen. But this involves blowing up the entire NFL scheduling model.
Yeah, which would be very hard to do, because that's how the NFL is. They have to get a big push through it, and it may take a couple years. What I will say, though, is, well, we've talked about this rule. We got to talk about one of the bigger rules. I think that this one could potentially be dropped this year. This one was by the Eagles. And it says here on the NFL Football Operations website, Philadelphia amends Rule 16, Section 1 to align the postseason and regular season overtime rules by granting both teams an opportunity to possess the ball regardless of the outcome of the first possession, subject to a 15-minute overtime period in the regular season. So this would mean both teams would get the ball even if you scored a touchdown, and instead of it being a 10-minute overtime period, it would go to a 15-minute overtime period, which I think a lot of people are pushing for that rule, because it's just like it has to happen at some point.
So go ahead, finish.
I said, like, it just has to happen at some point where, like, they need to address the overtime rules and they need to fix them.
Yeah, but also we've been saying that for eons, right? Football is a bad sport for overtime.
Right.
Like, this is a sport where ties are good.
Yeah.
Like, there is not a great equitable way to have overtime, because even in the college rules, the person who gets the ball second has a much higher chance of winning.
Yeah.
There's not a great way to this is not a great sport for there to have to be overtime rules.
Yeah. And the thing is too, is if it's in the, but like, I will say if it's in the playoffs, like it maybe makes a little bit more sense. If it's in the regular season, I do think it doesn't make a lot of sense to just boost 5 minutes up. I will say though, both teams should at least get a possession, but like cut it down to like 8 minutes.
Then both teams aren't going to get a possession.
8 minutes or 10 minutes, or even
that's the problem with the 10-minute overtime period in the regular season right now, is that even if the first team does not score a touchdown, because the rule as it exists for those listening who might not know is that both teams can get the ball, but only if the first team with the ball does not score a touchdown. If the first team to get the ball scores a touchdown, the overtime period is over and that team wins. The overtime period goes for 10 minutes. And if both teams kick a field goal on their first time with the ball, it continues until somebody scores. Or if both teams do not score on their first possession.
Mm-hmm.
But what that means is if both teams, if you think about how long a football drive is, right? On average, it's somewhere in that like 3.5 minute range. Especially if, neither team scores or maybe both teams kick field goals. That means that the team that gets the ball first has a tremendous advantage, because most likely you only get 3 possessions in an overtime.
Basically.
So with the 10-minute period, all we have done is change it to where the advantage was on the first team, because if they score and kick a field goal, they can end the game. Well, now we have just changed it to where the team that gets the ball first has a huge advantage, because even if they don't score, they can just kick a field goal and end the game, but the game just goes on for longer.
Yeah.
The 15 minutes, I think, is a better way, and going back to it, is a better way to fix this. And maybe 15 minutes is too long. Like, I don't know. Maybe you put the overtime period at 12 minutes, right? Something where, on average, both teams are going to touch the ball the same number of times, if neither team scores on their first however many possessions. But I don't know. I personally think ties are good in the sport. I think they are helpful for tiebreakers.
Mm-hmm.
Where we saw near the end of the season, right? Just convoluted tiebreaker scenarios. And when you have teams tying at certain points in the regular season, that helps get rid of the fact that, all 3 of these teams are 10-6. Well, maybe one of them is 10-5-1, right? So you can already put them up a peg on the rest of them. So I don't know how I feel about making sure both teams touch the ball regardless. There is something to be said about these teams have to play a crap ton of football already, and extending however many games by another 5 minutes. It's not great on the body, but I think that, the current rules are not equitable, and extending 5 minutes, or at least some modicum of time, is better than the current 10-minute period.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I think this is, like, out of all the rules that were made, that were proposed, I think this is the one that probably gets passed, which we'll see how it does. I think this is one of those things where it could be where if they'll try it, I think the NFL will try it and see how it goes for a year. And if there's a pushback, maybe they'll adjust.
Well, so
what's that?
Oh,
like,
sorry.
Either that, or you just stick with the same format you're working with. I mean, those are only 2 options.
What's notable to me is that the current overtime formats are different for the regular season and postseason. And I think that's why a lot of people feel that the existing postseason format is just better. than the regular season one, but them being different, and it doesn't necessarily make the postseason rules better, because the postseason and regular season overtime rules are trying to accomplish different things. This is parallel to baseball's new ghost runner rule in the regular season,
So
which
stupid.
I think there are really smart baseball people on both sides of that argument, and I'll try to make both sides.
Rob Manfred is not one of those smart people.
So the players themselves are very much in favor of the ghost runner rule. Teams, GMs, front offices like the ghost runner rule. The reason why, and for those who don't know, is now in the regular season of Major League Baseball games, the last, when you enter the 10th inning, when you enter extra innings, the last player on the batting team to go in the batting order to be out starts the 10th inning at second base. So if you are due up at the top of the order to start the 10th inning, the person at the bottom of the order starts at second, which creates quite an advantage for, and this is the bad part, is that it does also create an advantage for the second team who is on offense, much like the NFL regular season overtime rules, which is just funny that it creates the same negative effect. Because if the first team to bat strikes out 3 times, well, the only thing the second team up has to do is hit a fly ball deep to right, and that runner can just go and try to get all the way home, right? On a sac fly or whatever. But what it does is that it shortens regular season postseason or regular season extra innings games, which when you are playing 162 games in a season,
that's a lot of games.
Yeah, is good, especially when you are playing those games throughout the week, either back to back to back or back to back to back to back. So it shortens that time and shortens the impact on the body. You don't have to go through pitchers for 15, 16, 17 innings in a game that in the grand scheme of 162 might not matter a lot. And then baseball gets rid of that rule and plays pure to baseball in the postseason, because they want teams to win it on the field and or on the diamond, rather than just worry about, the wear and tear of the body over 162 game season, because at that point, that 162 game season is dialed down to a best of 3, best of 5, best of 7 series. And don't get me started on the best of 3, but that's a different story. I'm not just saying that while wearing a Brewers quarter zip, because I'm wearing.
I was going to say, never forget.
Just a heartbreaker. But when the NFL allows ties in the regular season and in overtime and shortens that overtime period, it's because they're trying to do a different thing than they are with the overtime rules in the postseason. The overtime rules in the postseason, they're still trying to make sure that the best team advances no matter what. In the regular season, it's more about getting a decisive result and doing so without having 2 teams that have already played 60 minutes of football. And as we all know, playing 60 minutes of football, 10 weeks in a row, and then you get a bye week, is really, really, really hard on your body. There is a level of player protection here that is important, and is why I think the 2 sets of postseason or overtime rules are different. Very much akin to why the postseason rules in Major League Baseball are different. So I don't necessarily think that the rule sets need to match. They need to make sense for both things.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not sure that it makes sense in the regular season, just because it gives such an advantage to the team who wins the coin flip. But I don't think they need to match.
No.
Let's just make them slightly better.
Yeah.
Have I convinced you on the Ghost Runner rule? We cover the gambit of every sport imaginable on this podcast.
Well, I've heard it so many years from Sam because Sam had always complained about how that rule is stupid. But after hearing it from you, it's like, okay, I see why it makes sense. Like everybody's on board with it, and there's
As we have
a
learned
lot
3
of
times
games
now
in
in
baseball.
Yeah, as we've learned 3 times now on this podcast, in terms of ball knowing, I am lapping Sam.
Yeah, and
ball knowing, puck knowing, oblong ball knowing.
Well, now we got let's get right into second now because we've been talking about
oh my god, what? All right, we are speed running second, third, fourth down.
Second down, we could just easily jump through this one. The Rodgers watch rolls on. Aaron Rodgers,
like a Rolex?
Somewhat. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers still remains unsigned. The Giants signed Jameis Winston.
Ooh.
Yeah, the Giants signed Jameis Winston to, I think it was a 2-year deal to be with the New York Giants as their quarterback, potentially for the future.
No Publix in New York.
And the Vikings right now, I think, are committed to JJ McCarthy. They still, however, want to sign a quarterback, just not Aaron Rodgers.
They'll need a backup.
Which leaves the Steelers as the only team out there. And just give me your quick thoughts on this, because I know you despise the man, you hate the man with a passion.
No.
As a human being.
No. Whoa. We do not need to send the entire internet after me, or at least certain corners of it.
Says the guy. I muted this man on
Rodgers.
Twitter.
That is my point.
Yeah.
I do not despise Aaron Rodgers. I do not know Aaron Rodgers. I don't like talking about Aaron Rodgers because I find the conversation uninteresting. I find the conversation redundant. I find the conversation reductive. I don't think he is as good of a football player as he used to be. No. And so I do not think he is not the focal point of conversations in this sport if it were not for the sideshow. And the sideshow is why he remains a figure in the sport. And while he simultaneously tells everybody that he, wants to get rid of distractions, he is the one causing his own distractions. So whatever.
What? Aaron Rodgers causing his own distractions? That's crazy.
Welcome to the last decade.
You're also going to like this quote too. So there was an article out there. Albert Briel posted it.
Okay.
And the Aaron Rodgers said he's looking for an environment that is similar to the one in Green Bay. When I kid you not, I looked at that and I had to put my glasses on, take them off. I had to rub my eyes, look at that for a sec. I was like, this man really just said that he wants it to be the same environment that he was in before he left to try and go and be. I mean, like, all right, third down. Netflix. I don't even know if you have Netflix or not. Yeah, exactly. Oh man, gosh. Netflix, the streaming service.
All these for spring football practice because 41 new players on the team and the other half of them have all changed their jersey numbers, so I have no idea who is who.
I got to get me some binoculars. I should have got some when I was broadcasting. But Netflix announced their new season of quarterback.
Oh no.
So Netflix a couple of years ago did this show called Quarterback. It's where they dived deep into the lives of 3 NFL quarterbacks. It was Marcus Mariota, Kirk Cousins, and Patrick Mahomes. And it really was a good show. I watched it from start to finish. Really fun show. It was very fun. I hated the fact though that Kirk Cousins, that was the year of the 2023 Vikings. So it was very insufferable, or 2022 Vikings. So it was very insufferable to watch the Kirk Cousins episodes. But it was really good. It got a lot of good reviews. One of the top shows on Netflix. So this last year, they took a year off from quarterback and they did a show called Receiver, which is all the NFL's wide receivers. And
not all of them, right? They focus on like
not all
guys.
Yeah, like I think 4 guys. It was Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, George Kittle. I think were the 3.
The boring. It's a tight end.
Oh, and Deebo Samuel. Did I say Deebo Samuel?
No, you said George Kittle.
Yeah. Well, George Kittle was also in there as well. Which, yeah, I don't know. I just Netflix. This is Netflix. So they did that for a year. The only reason they did that for a year was because they couldn't find anybody to be on the Netflix show quarterback because everybody was so paranoid that other teams would look at what they're doing for their workout regimen, which if anybody has seen Hard Knocks, off-season Hard Knocks, like that's a prime example of a show gone bad in the NFL.
But it's just the one thing. It's just the one moment from that show.
It is the one moment from that show, which is just was the downfall of that. So,
but I think front office dramatics are much different and much more consequential than the day-to-day. How does this quarterback leading an offense go through his daily routine?
But it's a good show. So they came back out with a season 2. They had 3 quarterbacks this year.
Wait, can I guess them?
Yes. You want to take a guess at who the 3 quarterbacks are?
All right.
Let me know if you want me to give you any hints. I'll give you some hints. This is your little preview before trivia.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually. We're at 15. We're not playing trivia, man. Unless that's 4th down.
It is
okay.
4th down, sadly.
Oh goodness. Okay. All right. So,
but I don't think
quarterbacks on Netflix quarterback. Give me Brock Purdy. No, he doesn't have a new contract yet, so it's not going to be Brock Purdy.
No,
not
Brock Purdy.
I'm trying to think of established. Jared Goff.
That's one.
That's
one. Wow, second guess. You know what? This will be your trivia for the day.
Woo!
This will be your trivia. So that's on your second try. You got that one.
They did Mahomes season 1, right?
Yep.
So give me Josh Allen.
Nope.
Oh man, Mr. Haley Steinfeld. Come on.
Who's the other? Do you want me to give you a hint?
No, well, it sounds like the other Mahomes. Icy Burrow, Joe Cool.
Yeah, Joe Shiesty. That's 2.
Last
one, I don't know if you'll get it or not.
Kenny Pickett. No.
They do a whole season on the backup quarterback for the Eagles. Oh, that'd be hilarious.
Oh, I thought you were serious.
No.
And then I was like, who's the backup quarterback for the Eagles? I was like, oh yeah, it's Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, it's Kenny Pickett.
Trevor Lawrence?
No. But he was approached though to do the show and he turned it down.
See, I'm on a heater, man. I'm trying to roll through the divisions. Think about established starters.
Let me also say this: Jordan Love. You can cross Jordan Love off your list.
That done a long time ago. Green Bay. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me?
I just wanted to throw that out there. If you
Stafford's done a lot of stuff. Give me Stafford. No,
he was also approached too, and he turned it down.
Yeah. See, Kyler Murray.
Nope.
All right, give me the conference.
NFC South.
Oh, okay. So I got conference and division.
Oh, division and conference. Well, I just gave that away real easily.
So it cannot be Bryce Young. It cannot be Bryce Young. Are they run? Wait, no. So no Kirk. I was gonna say, are they running Kirk back out there? But Kirk is gone in Atlanta. We talking Derek Carr?
No.
Penix?
Nope.
What? Wait, Andy Dalton? Did he get signed by the Panthers again?
Nope. It's not Andy Dalton.
But it is a Panthers quarterback.
It's not a Panthers quarterback.
Oh. What team?
It's so you had it right. You said it earlier. You said it before.
They are doing wait. They are doing Bryce Young?
Nope, not Bryce Young. After that, after you said Bryce Young.
Wait, Kirk?
Yep.
What?
They're running it back with another season of Kirk Cousins in Atlanta.
Didn't they cut him?
No, and that's the thing. They took so that's another news thing. They restructured his contract, so he's staying in Atlanta.
What?
Yeah, you've missed a lot of NFL news over the last week or so because you've been so indulged in the sport of in basketball and hockey. Yeah, they restructured his contract to stay in Atlanta.
I'm not mistaken, though. The entire, like, what we understood about the situation was that they were moving on from him, right?
Right. And then apparently they worked out a deal where they restructured his contract to trim some of the money down, and he's staying in Atlanta.
What?
I know. That's
yeah. Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, a lot has happened.
Right. You're right. I was not going to guess that.
I know. I was going to say, I don't think you would be able to guess that. That was
wow. What a whirlwind of events.
I thought when you got to Kirk Cousins, I was like, oh, he's right on the nose. But no, they went to, they're going back to Kirk again. I think he's just a very likable guy, and I think he's the most approachable guy on Netflix. But like they interviewed like a ton of people to try and do it, and they sent because it's made by Omaha Studios, which is Peyton Manning's film company.
Yeah,
and they sent multiple interviewed multiple players, multiple quarterbacks. Stafford, I know, turned it down. Stafford turned it down. Trevor Lawrence turned it down, and Jordan Love, I think, turned it down too as well. Yeah. So that was one, and they ended up on.
Andy Dalton is a Carolina Panther still.
Yeah,
so I was right about that.
And that you were right about that. I didn't even know if he was a Panther or not. But that was fun. That was fun.
Oh man. Okay. Fourth down is NFL trivia. Just hit it. Just throw the questions at me, and we'll get out of here fast.
All right. So we'll do some NFL trivia. I gotta pull up my glasses here.
Also, I think podcast trivia is like the most cringy thing on the planet. But
I mean, hey, I enjoyed it last year. So let's get to. So we'll do draft and free agency here, because we're in the off season. So who was the first overall pick in the 2007 draft? Let's start there. Who was the first pick in the 2007 draft?
I don't know. 2007 is that the Rodgers draft? So is that Alex Smith?
That was the year. That was 2 years after.
Oh.
So you had the Rodgers Alex Smith draft, the Vince Young Matt Leinart draft.
Yeah, and then this one.
This guy is. I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
It's a quarterback, and it's arguably the worst quarterback in NFL history.
Oh, Jamarcus Russell?
Yes. Jamarcus Russell. Man, that dude was 300. I think he came in like over close to 300 pounds with the Raiders. So that's your first one.
Bravo. Looking like Billy Edwards Jr. out there. Watching him in spring practice.
Is he fun? Is he fun to watch?
He can throw a football. Which is more than you can say for the starting Wisconsin Badgers.
Let's go. He can throw a football.
He's also a beefy boy. He's like I think he's like 6'5", 250. He's a big guy.
He's built.
Yeah. He's a big guy. He's fun to watch compared to the backup Danny O'Neal, he's small. He is maybe all of 6 foot.
All right. So this one's
Billy Edwards is 6'3", 200 and however many pounds, maybe 225. But yeah,
this one
he looks hefty.
This one's a quarterback. This was a kicker one. You may not. I don't know if you'll get this.
No.
So Adam Vinatieri, who was a legend for being on the Patriots and on the Colts, winning multiple Super Bowls, kicking game-winning field goals for Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. He was an undrafted free agent. What team originally signed Adam Vinatieri as an undrafted free agent before he went to the Patriots and the Colts?
Those are the only two teams I ever had any idea that he played for. So I don't know. The Ravens?
No.
Other good teams with kickers? No. I don't know. Just tell me.
It's actually not in the NFL. It's not in the U.S.
CFL team? Oh, NFL Europe?
NFL Europe. The Amsterdam Admirals. He had a stint with the Amsterdam Admirals, and then the Patriots picked him up on a deal. So that was pretty cool.
Huh.
We'll do one more, and then we'll roll out of here. Which NFL team has had the most number 1 draft picks?
So it has to be a team that's been around for a while. But the other thing is that it has to be one with. I'm trying to think. Like, part of me wants to say the Browns, but they restarted the franchise, so that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. I will say the Raiders to start as a guess, but I don't even know if they've picked number 1 overall at least once, as we discussed earlier on the show.
Yes. It's not the Raiders.
Does this team currently exist?
But I will say it is a team that that started up as this franchise in one city and then moved to a different.
Oh, is it the Cardinals?
No. But it's a team that started in one city and then moved to another city and then moved back to that same city.
The Rams?
Yeah. Not the Rams.
Oh.
Try AFC. Try AFC.
So an AFC team that bebopped around. But wait, so a team that has moved. Is it connected to the whole Baltimore, Cleveland, Indianapolis Colts thing? So it's one of these 3 teams. It's the Colts or the Ravens. I mean, just go ahead and tell me.
You're spot on. Well, you're very close. Very close. It is the Indianapolis Colts / Baltimore Colts, because they originally were in Baltimore,
right?
And then they moved the franchise out of Baltimore to Indianapolis.
But what the thing you said there at the end of like then moved back wasn't quite.
Oh, I did say that. Yeah, so that's not quite right.
But they
moved back as the
Ravens. Well, yeah, but then they moved Cleveland to Baltimore
as the Ravens.
Yeah. Right. So part of this whole. Yeah,
it was one of the more historic departures in NFL history, because the Baltimore Colts had been in Baltimore since like the 1900s.
In the middle of the night, basically.
Yeah, in the middle of the night with the big old Mayflower truck. They just packed it up and went. Bonus.
See, I know random NFL history. It's
bonus question. How many times have the Colts picked number 1 overall?
7.
Yes. Oh! Yes. Yes. That was wow. 4 for 4. Bravo. Wow.
Oh, what a heater.
4 for 4. And with that, we'll close out with that, man. Watch Snap the Pigskin on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Follow us, wherever you get your podcasts. Listen to us on Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, and all that good stuff. And also listen to Kedrick's podcast, the Sconnie Six Pack. Does some great stuff over there. Are you jumping into spring ball now? Are you jumping into spring ball? Do you do softball or for spring sports? What is your plan now? Because winter sports are done.
Winter sports are done. It is full portal season. I am.
Brewers starts soon. Brewers opening day is coming up here too.
That is right.
So.
Apparently, as I am recording this at the time, I think the Badgers are about to make women's basketball hire.
They just did hire somebody. So.
Yeah, that just happened.
From Missouri.
Okay, that's good. I was just seeing a DM that it's going up on our site. If anybody wants more, lots of college basketball transfer portal coverage, lots of stuff from the Badgers National Championship run over the last few days over at allbadgers.com, ALLBADGERS.com. That's where I have a lot of stuff up on the site lately. No, don't think I'm doing spring sports this year. I thought about forcing my way onto the softball coverage
Mhm.
thing, but I got too much other stuff going on, man. It's a lot. We had a lot of stuff. We'll have plenty of portal coverage for college basketball and then trying to wrap up the women's hockey season and all that coming up.
Plus Brewers baseball. Baseball.
I'm sure I'll be talking that, going to games, having a good time. But
yeah. I had fun last year going to games with you. That was the Cubs game especially.
That
was electric.
Yeah. Lots of good memories with the Milwaukee Brewers last season. And one really, 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 really bad one.
Oh, yeah, we don't need to talk about that. On that note, we'll end on a good note. I'm Noah Clark, joined by Kedrick Stumbris. This has been another edition of Snap the Pigskin.